Hey guys, buckle up for a new episode of You and the Law Podcast, the one and only law enforcement podcast that's tackling critical policing and social justice issues and provides insights into the daily realities of policing with your host, Chief Virgil Green.
Hey, I want to welcome you to another episode of You and the Law Podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in and joining us wherever you are. If you're watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube or even LinkedIn, I want to thank you for tuning in on those platforms to check out another, definitely an informative conversation on You and the Law Podcast. And tonight we're going to be talking about something that has been in the news lately, has always been in the news, and what makes a traffic stop lawful or unlawful. You know, if you got any questions or comments, you can put them in the chat. If you're on Facebook Live, you can put your comments in the chat. If you're on YouTube, you don't have that feature of putting comments into the chat, but definitely on Facebook. So if you're not following You and the Law Podcast, you definitely need to follow us because we've been ranked as one of the top 30th podcasts related to law enforcement podcasts. So obviously, our conversations are having some impacts into some communities, and we're definitely being recognized around the country for the type of content and topics that we talk about on You and the Law Podcast. So if you're not following us, definitely go to our YouTube page, You and the Law Podcast Show, and on our Facebook page, you can go to You and the Law Podcast and follow You and the Law Podcast. But I've got a guest that I'm going to bring on tonight, and his name is Mark. I'm going to get this right, Mark. What was the last name?
Vermillion.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for joining us, man. So Mark, you're just an average guy. You are a TikTok influencer who has got a large following, but I picked up on a video that you shared on your TikTok page some time ago related to a traffic stop. And one of the things that was interesting was that you kept your cool throughout the traffic stop. And oftentimes, you did question the officer about, hey, do I have to get out the car? You really didn't give him a hard time. You got out the car. But oftentimes, man, we see people who challenge police officers and it becomes very confrontational. So you kept your cool. You're very professional throughout this traffic stop. But kind of tell us a little bit about Mark, what you're doing. I know you're a big pickleball person. So tell us a little bit about Mark.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you. I appreciate that intro. I'm still getting used to being called a TikTok influencer. But yeah, so, my name is Mark Vermillion. I'm 29 years old. I'm from New Jersey, and I run my own business called House Pickleball. So we make paddles, and we're soon to be opening a pickleball club in New York City. So that's kind of the background on me and why I have that kind of knack for doing content.
Yeah. So, and this is the thing. I may have been on TikTok, maybe not even a year, and I see people who they're making some pretty decent money off of it. They got a large following. They're creating content all the time. And you have to have a knack for creating that. And so are you using TikTok to kind of build your brand with your business?
Yeah, so we have a separate TikTok for the brand, but
okay.
On my personal, though, I'm definitely very open. I just talk about kind of what's going on in my life, as well as other things that may be like commentary or takes, but I kind of weave it all in there, and definitely just let people know what I'm up to and like where they can join us, whether it's at an event or kind of like what's going on with the business from like the founder's perspective.
Okay, all right. So Mark, I've got a couple of videos. One is of the traffic stop. The second video is of you you filed a complaint. You came into the department. They did an interview, which was, and I told you this before, it was kind of interesting that they let you record that interview.
Yep.
And so I've got I'm going to play some of that, not all of it, because I know we're going to be short on time. Coming up on the top of the hour at 7 o'clock. So, but again, kind of tell us a little bit about how where you were, where you were going, and what kind of led up to this traffic stop. But I'm also going to play the video, so I want to give a little background to it.
Yeah, it was a Tuesday afternoon. I'm living here in New Jersey. I live at my parents' house, so I was just driving, finishing up the morning of work, heading to go get some lunch. There's a Burger King about 5-10 minutes away from my house, so I like to make lunches quick and just like efficient. So I headed to the Burger King, grabbed a double cheeseburger and a Coke Zero, and was making my way back. And that's when I was intercepted by the local police.
Okay, all right. Well, Mark, I appreciate you setting that up. So I've got a video. I think it's probably a 6-minute video. I may kind of show most of that. So it gives the listeners, if you haven't seen this video, it's on TikTok, but kind of give it, set up, the conversation we're going to be talking about. What is a lawful traffic stop and what is an unlawful traffic stop? So if you're on YouTube, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, just hang tight. We're gonna watch this video, and then outside of this video, we're gonna come back and have this conversation with Mark about his experience related to this traffic stop.
The reason I stopped you is when you turn on Norwood Street, you put your blinker on pretty close to the turn. You're supposed to do it 150 feet.
Okay.
Where are you coming from?
I was at my house. I got some lunch, and then I'm heading back to my house.
Oh, where'd you get lunch?
Burger.
Do you have your license on? Where's your hands shaking so much?
My hands?
Hands shaking on the steering wheel.
Just hungry.
Just hungry?
Yeah. Maybe a little blood sugar.
Diabetic?
No.
You ever been arrested before?
Nope.
No. So I'm gonna check your license, okay? Go and get breakfast. It's 12:50 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I run my own business.
Oh, where's that?
It's an online business.
Oh, okay. So you came all the way down to Haledon to get some breakfast?
It's the closest Burger King.
Gotcha.
The double cheeseburger is actually the most, like dollars per calorie. It's the most valuable, economical source of food that was ever created.
Gotcha. Would you DoorDash it or something?
I picked it up.
Oh, you went through the drive-thru?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's there? Can you step out of the car for me?
Why?
Because I'm asking you to step out of the car.
Well, is there a reason?
Yeah, I think there's something else going on. Can you step out of the vehicle?
What do you think is going on?
When you get out of the vehicle, I will speak to you back here about it.
Do I have to do that?
Yes? Or I'll arrest you for obstruction. Place your hands up over here for me. You got anything that can poke me, stick me, anything like that?
No, sir.
Nothing like that? No weapons or anything? Can you turn around and face me? So you went down and went to the drive-thru. I saw you go down, you came back pretty quickly. So you were able to get down to the drive-thru that fast?
Yeah, there's no one in the line.
Gotcha. Is there anything, any kind of narcotics or anything in your vehicle?
No, sir.
Can you just look at me straight in the eyes? Close your eyes for me. Close them. Close them until I tell you to open. You use any kind of medications or anything?
No.
No? Okay. Because your pupils are very, very tight.
Okay.
You don't have any history of narcotics or anything?
Nope.
No? Okay. Do you mind if I search your vehicle?
I do mind, actually.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, I'm going to call a canine.
Sure.
Okay. No.
And what's the probable cause here?
Everything I just said, the amount of shaking you're doing, the fact that you went down so quickly and you came back up, and I noticed you were grasping the steering wheel.
What are you
You were grasping the steering wheel like you were on the way down, like you were 10 and 2. Like holding on. I watched you go down and come back up.
You're supposed to grasp the steering wheel like 10 and 2.
Okay, so here's the options. If he does not indicate on narcotics in your vehicle, there's no search.
Okay. Alright, get the canine now.
Okay. You said you went down and picked up breakfast.
It's not breakfast, lunch.
You said breakfast to me.
Yeah, I said breakfast. Lunch. It's a burger. I mean, a burger can be a breakfast food.
It's 12:50.
Narcotics canine.
Okay, so I meant lunch.
Okay, so you had 2 eggs for breakfast, but you said that you had low blood sugar from not eating.
Yeah, it's not a lot of food.
It takes a long time of not eating to get low blood sugar.
I don't know what to tell you.
But do you see why, like, it's
Honestly, no, I don't.
it's just not adding up to me.
That I went to get lunch, and I'm driving back home.
No, you told me you went to get breakfast.
Okay,
It's
that was a
12:50 in the
mistake.
afternoon.
I meant lunch.
Okay, and your hand, when you went to hand me your license, was just like shaking, like.
Is that a
There's a
crime?
normal level of nervousness to a motor vehicle stop. There is, but when your hand begins to visibly shake,
Do I seem nervous now?
yes,
Okay. Is that a crime?
it's not a crime. It's just an indication to me that there may be something more to the stop. Listen, man, if there's nothing going on, you'll be on your way.
I know. I'm pretty confident that's going to be the case.
Okay.
We got
Wouldn't
two,
it be the
two cruisers
It
here.
wouldn't be the first time a canine didn't indicate on a vehicle and you went about your way. It's not the first time it happened in my career.
Okay.
So it doesn't bother me whether it happens or it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's just a waste of all of our time.
No, it's not. I'm not even doing my job.
Okay, by pulling over me.
And looking for criminal activity, yes.
Okay. Yeah, you're the police officer.
And you're also coming out of a neighborhood known for narcotics distribution.
Okay. But there's also Burger King. It's the closest
Okay.
Burger King to my house.
I'm telling you the reasons that they all add up to me. I just think that your story is a little distorted. You know, your level of nervousness is a little high. So I think there could possibly be something going on.
So just to be clear, and I'm filming now.
That's fine.
something
I'm
to say.
filming also.
Just to be clear, the reason I was pulled over is because I signaled within 150 yards or feet, 150 feet of the turn. And now we have the
You're supposed to signal 150 feet before the turn.
before the turn.
Yeah.
And
So
I did
it's
within.
considered an abrupt turn,
Yep.
which means somebody can hit the rear of you. Okay, so you didn't signal in the proper amount of time. So that's why I stopped you. Yes.
Okay. And then you stop me and you think I have narcotics on me. So
So
that's
you're just
why.
going to skip everything in between and go right to that part of your story?
I mean, I just think the reasons.
It's funny because you took out your phone and you skipped an entire part of the narrative that's on this body camera.
Okay.
You took out your
so-
phone and
so-
you decided to skip
I
an
comply.
entire. Listen, you can film all you want.
But so just to be clear, the reason you took me out of the car, wanted me to get out of the car, is because I said breakfast instead of lunch, and you said my hand was shaking.
You can open request the body cam footage, sir. You should know what's going on in a motor vehicle stop at this time.
Okay, I think I just summed it up. So it sounds
Well, you skipped a lot on your recording. You're missing a lot of information.
All right, so tell me what I said.
You're not going to narrate what's going on here.
Right, then you
Okay, I have a
narrate.
body camera that's going to do that for everyone. You're not going to narrate. You can film. I have no problem with you filming.
Okay.
But any questions that you want answered at this point right now, you can request the body camera footage. I'm not going to sit here and entertain this back and forth. We're not children.
No, we're not. We're adults. Like 10 minutes, an hour.
We don't have our own personal canine. We have to wait for another agency.
Where's it coming from?
Passaic County Sheriff's Department. I don't know what time or how long the canine's going to take. So you're right. I'm not going to waste anybody's time. Okay? I'm just going to give you the summons for improper signal, and we're going to be on our way.
Wow, Mark, that was a lot. You know,
I hadn't watched the full video in a little while.
so when did this actually happen?
This was early June. I want to say June 3rd.
June 3rd of this year? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You know, I think I've seen some people's comments on your page about, you know, this 150 feet or whatever it is you're supposed to signal. You're supposed to put your signal on before you turn, I'm assuming. Is that correct?
Mhm.
And
The law is actually 100
yeah,
feet.
and
So he got
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. And I've seen some people say, no, the law is actually 100 feet. And so he was, you know, incorrect in that. One of the things I noticed was that he's got you pulled over at this stop sign. Traffic has to go around you. And there's no concern that, you know, hey, are we impeding traffic, the flow of traffic on a traffic stop? And the fact that, he asked you to search, your vehicle. You said no. He wanted to call a K9 out. And I think, Mark, this is one of the things that we've talked a lot about on our podcast, is that if an officer does not have that articulable, probable cause, that they're going to use some other type of method to try to get into to search a vehicle. And I've seen so many videos. I just watched another one on TikTok where I want to say it was in Florida, where a guy was pulled over. I think he was driving a pretty nice Corvette, blue Corvette, and he actually had his son with him. They're running the dog around the car multiple times. The dog has never hit on anything, but this K9 officer just continues to run this dog around. I don't know if you've seen that.
I watched it when you posted
did?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And so, it is, and this is why, we have so many problems within policing where people just don't trust the police. And there's this issue with trust and transparency. And, and I think a lot of people will probably say, Mark, and I think you and I had this conversation briefly when we first met and talked over the phone, was that some people will say, well, hey, you're a young white guy, you're privileged, but if that was a black person or another person of color, it would have been totally different. What do you say to people who may say that? Because what I see is, you're in I don't know what the demographics of that city is, but clearly this officer has profiled you based on the demographics of that part of the town and this Burger King. I don't know. I mean, if you want to, just like me, I've got a certain McDonald's that I like going to, but I'll pass one or two McDonald's because I go to this one McDonald's. The people there, they know me. And I get breakfast there all the time. So they've come to know that I want, the plastic silverware. I want one grape jelly. And so they get to know you. And so there's no reason to be, to suspect that you're going to drive 10 minutes out of your way to go to a fast food restaurant. So was this your first time ever going to that Burger King, or you've been there before?
No, I'd been there before. It just happens to be literally the closest fast food restaurant to my house. So if I'm just want a quick lunch, I just get a burger and like a Diet Coke. Like I just go straight there and come straight back. Yeah. So I've been to this one before.
Well, and another thing, and you can talk about this, I clearly heard you say you came and got lunch. I don't know where breakfast came in until he injected that you said that you had got breakfast. Yep. At any point, did you kind of question what you may have said?
Yeah, definitely. Because when he's asserting so forcefully that I had said breakfast, it makes you start to think, well, did I slip up? Was I nervous and said something? It was kind of that, like, did I actually say that? And also just, even though I was still pretty sure I had said lunch, there's just not much to be gained because I tried to push back and he just wasn't having it. So just kind of went along with that part of it just to not make things worse.
Yeah. So how did you feel when they, get you out the car, wants to pat you down, and, next thing it goes from wanting to try to get consent to search the car, you said no, to a K9. And I think he already knew that agency does not have a K9. So he had to call another agency to get a K9. And I think there was, become very unreasonable amount of time to hold you on a traffic stop for maybe a moving violation that now you may have to wait, 30 minutes to a half hour for a K9 to come from another jurisdiction. Besides what we just saw in the video, was there ever any other, conversations about, you know, you asking how long? Yeah, I know you did ask how long it was going to take. And it seemed like
Mhm.
you become pretty agitated with your questionings.
Yep. Yeah, he did not like the it's when I started filming with my phone, that was where he really started to get annoyed with
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I can tell. Um, so Mark, I asked you this question about, people may think, hey, you're a young white guy, you got this privilege, but if that was a black and brown person, it would have been totally different. Probably guns drawn. What do you? And I know you've probably seen a lot of different videos that have happened around the country. What's your opinion on that?
Well, yeah, I'm definitely of the opinion that the color of your skin, unfortunately, does affect how these situations go down, how you're treated, just the perceptions about you, and even like if you flip it, just in the way that I was profiled by standing out in that neighborhood as a white guy. It's all profiling, but there's no way to know how it would have gone down if I were black or Hispanic,
Mhm.
but I do have a feeling that it would have been a more tense interaction. And I think part of why I was able to stay so calm is because of that privilege, like knowing like I'm gonna be fine. Like if worst case scenario, I'm just gonna sit still. I'll be able to get a lawyer. Like I'll have my people, get down to the police station. So I think that contributed to the fact that nothing, everything stayed like nothing got too
Yeah,
crazy. Whereas, I think if you're a black kid from that town, the cops would have been speaking to me differently and would have contributed to more of a sense of like, am I going to be okay? Like, or is this like about to spiral and ruin my life? That just like is not
yeah,
helpful and just creates a more like hostile and like unstable
yeah.
situation.
Definitely can increase the escalation of it, and you definitely de-escalated. I think you did more de-escalation than the police officer did. Um,
I would have to agree with
yeah.
that.
Um, Hey, I want to just remind everybody, if you're just now tuning into You and the Law podcast, we've got Mark Ver, Vermel,
Millen.
Vermellen on. He is well known on TikTok. I know I use the phrase influencer, and he kind of was a little shy about that, but you got a very large following, man. And I think everybody who's on TikTok wants to, get 20,000 uh, 200,000 people following them, and obviously, people definitely, enjoy the content that you're putting out, and that has resulted in a large following. And unfortunately, you found yourself in this traffic stop in a neighboring city going to a Burger King, and you were going to get lunch, and he said no, it was breakfast. Then he tried to insinuate that your hands were shaking, that you were real nervous, and then all of a sudden he wants to diagnose your eyes, that your pupils were not, and I'm just like, unless you're going to do a field sobriety test, unless you're trying to say that you smell the odor of something associated with alcohol, how can you determine that a person's eyes are, there's something going on with their eyes, that they may be under the influence? um, and
Mhm.
so, Mark, I guess the one thing I'd be interested to know, since they kind of identified this area as being a kind of a high drug traffic area, is there any, I wonder if there's any data that actually backs that statistic up to show that they've made a number of arrests in that area from traffic stops. Um,
Mhm.
and again, I just kind of go back to, oftentimes, we say, young black men and black women are profiled. But in this situation, you found yourself being profiled as a young white guy by white cops in an area that they allege uh, there's a lot of drug traffic.
Mhm. Yeah, it's it's funny. It's not funny, but it's like sometimes if you're a black person in a majority white neighborhood, you stick out and you get profiled. If you're a white person in the majority black neighborhood, the same thing can happen. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. You make that. You just made that comment that you're a young white guy, driving a pretty nice vehicle, and all of a sudden now you've got somebody saying, that looks doesn't look right. Young white guy, 12 something, almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, driving this neighborhood. And it wasn't like you were just driving around in circles. And the one thing I want to kind of go back, when he mentioned that you kind of went up and came back real quick, what was that about?
I think he was just referring to, I believe based on what he said, he had observed me enter the neighborhood and then I went out of his sight, maybe when I, drove around to get into the Burger King drive-thru. And then probably the next thing he saw was like 2 minutes later, me coming back. So I think from his POV, he just saw a car go into the neighborhood and then very quickly exit. And that was kind of his reasoning for wanting to pull me over. And that's why he, in my opinion, fabricated the blinker charge.
Yeah, so that's what I want to ask. Was this before you got to this stop sign, or was this prior to that stop sign where you were actually the traffic stop ended?
It was after it was actually a detour. They were doing some construction on the main road. So for me, I had to think on my feet a little bit and like follow a different path than I usually would. So I turned into the neighborhood where you see me end up getting pulled over in. I usually would not be in that neighborhood because it's off the main road. It's a residential area. So I noticed him when I turned off the main road. I noticed that he was behind me and that he turned off, and that's where kind of my spidey senses started tingling, like this guy's about to pull me over, isn't he? And that was the case.
Sure enough, it happened. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey, so Mark, the next video I'm gonna show is of your interview with the detective when you filed a complaint. So before I show that, after the traffic stop, did you get a citation for this? Okay.
Yes. Yep. $96 for a late blinker for failing to signal.
Did you go to court on that, or did you just?
Yep. I pled not guilty, and I actually had a hearing the other day over Zoom with the prosecutor where I just confirmed that I'm pleading not guilty, and my court date for it is in a couple of weeks in October.
Okay. And so I'm assuming that this officer has, in-car, camera footage that shows maybe this traffic before he pulled you over, the alleged traffic infraction.
They actually do not. They don't. One thing I learned from the internal affairs interview is that they only have body cams in that department. They do not have dash cams.
Oh, so he's going to really have to prove to a judge that you actually committed this traffic violation, which led up to the traffic stop of you not signaling 100 yards, but now you got him on his body camera saying it was 150, which by state statute it's 100. So it's going to be interesting to see how that comes out. So you get the ticket. At what point do you realize, or do you speak to somebody about, hey, I think I need to file a complaint? What led up to you taking that to go in to file a complaint?
Yeah, I think as soon as I left, as soon as they let me go, I was just like, that was insane. Like that was totally inappropriate. Like, and even if I didn't have that direct idea in my mind, like I knew I was gonna want to, make some sort of complaint about this because my immediate feeling was that it was wrong and shouldn't have happened.
Yeah. So you go in, is it an online complaint, or you have to go into the agency to get the forms, or how was that process?
No, I was able to just submit it online.
Okay. So you submitted online. how long did it take for somebody to contact you related to the complaint that you had filed?
Well, actually, the first thing I did was request the body cam footage from New Jersey has something called Oprah, which I believe is Open Public Records. So that took about a month, and that took a good amount of emailing. They were somewhat dragging their feet on it. And so I emailed about a dozen times. I finally said, like, hey, I want this by the end of the day. And that kind of got them. So a month had passed when I finally got to see the body camera footage. Obviously, once I had my own footage after I had gotten out of the car. But once I reviewed the body camera footage and like just confirmed all the things I thought I had remembered about it, that was when I decided to file the complaint.
Okay. So you file a complaint online. You get obviously you get some kind of notification that you're going to come in for an in-person interview. Okay. Yep. So, Mark, one of the things and I shared this with you before when we spoke, is that a lot of people get pretty, they know they probably didn't commit a traffic violation. Now they're being told, hey, you're getting a citation. So they get pretty upset. They get into an argument with the officer. Next thing you know, police officers saying, you could be arrested for obstruction or interfering. And, the handcuffs come on instead of just being very calm, very cool about it, and filing a complaint. And I think, the one thing that I, want to share with people is that the way you handle that is the way I wish a lot of people would handle those situations and not escalate the situation with that officer. I've said this over the last 5 years of doing this podcast, and even before that, you're not going to win an argument with an officer on the side of the road. You're not. Yep. We've seen so many videos like of Tyreek Hill on his way to the stadium and how that turned out. How the Corvette, video I showed how that turned out where they didn't find any drugs. But, the one thing with that video is that these officers don't take into consideration, here's this man's son. I think he looked like he was no more than 10 years old. Now he has a negative experience of police officers. And that just kind of goes to that trust issue. So here's a 10-year-old kid who has seen his father being pulled over. So now when he gets to be his father's age, he's going to remember that experience with the police. And it's a bad experience. And so, the one thing that we, officers have a lot of authority, a lot of power, and sometimes it gets the best of them. And so in this situation, I think that's what happened, that this officer was trying to dig up and find some drugs, and it just wasn't no drugs there. And they were never expecting that you were going to file a complaint. So you file a complaint, you get called and said, hey, you're going to come in. What was your, before you got there, what was running through your mind about, hey, how will I, what will I say or what will I do in this interview?
Yeah. I was thinking less about the interview because I figured, pretty straightforward. They'll ask questions, I'll answer them. It was more just psychologically, you file a complaint against this police department, and there's also a high profile kind of video that's gone viral. And then you have to walk right into their station and complain to their faces and be like, oh, you did me dirty and I'm here to, make you pay for it. So I think going in, I wouldn't say I was nervous, but I was kind of like a little bit uneasy about, am I going to see this cop? Like, is this his buddy I'm talking to? So that was kind of, you're kind of going into the lion's den there.
Yeah. So once this got posted, how quickly did it, and I'm going to say it went viral. How quickly did it go viral?
Almost immediately, like within an hour, I think it was at like maybe 20 or 30,000 views. And then I could just tell, with these things, the way they get spread around, like it's kind of like a curve. By the next day, I think I woke up and it had hit 1 million.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I realized that it was just gonna really get out there. So yeah, it was like a Friday night that I realized, and like the comments started flowing in, and like I could tell people were really worked up about it.
Yeah.
So
And this was the body cam footage that I saw as well, just like what everybody else saw. Because I don't think you really have you really shared your, the video you took of your cell phone.
I have not. So far I've decided to just keep that on my phone and not, so obviously that has the officer's name and face and everything. And I haven't, ruled out posting it, but definitely did not want to when this first blew up, because people were really worked up, and I just wanted to, not, like, if there was a fire growing, not feed that. And, then you can't control what other people do with that information. So people were really pushing me for the name and badge number, and I at this point it's out there, but you kind of have to look for it. I wasn't gonna do that.
Yeah, well, and I have to say this, Mark, just with the things that have occurred around the country, when videos do go viral, you have some people out there who have other motives, other intents, and they may take that and use that. And unfortunately, traffic stops are one of the most dangerous encounters that police officers have with the person. So many police officers have been killed just walking up to a car, and you don't know why, and you don't know the person that you're pulling over. The person you're pulling over could have just murdered somebody, or they're running, trying to get away from something, and you just don't know that. And next thing you know, this person pulls out a gun, shoots you, kills you, or seriously injures you. And and that's why we tell police officers all the time, be very cautious of how you approach a vehicle, and make sure that you use a lot of safety. And so once this went viral, Mark, and you start reading the comments, were some of the comments negative or positive? What kind of give us an idea of what kind of feedback you were getting?
Yeah, they were mostly either, obviously like negative towards the officer, like angry, saying every critique he got really pulled apart on everything he said. And then towards me, there are positive comments, and then like less than 1% were like negative towards me, just internet, the nature of the internet. But it was definitely the kind of reaction that I was kind of expecting from a video like that.
Yeah. Well, Mark, and I'm pretty sure after people either watch this on YouTube or watch it on our Facebook page, and they're going to be like, so here's a black police chief talking to a white guy about a traffic stop. How you're supposed to be on the blue side, but it doesn't really sound like you're on the blue side. And I have to say this, Mark, for me, it's all about transparency. And I think this is the one thing that we need to have these tough conversations about how we are policing in our communities. And more oftentimes people who look like me find themselves on the other side of a traffic stop, and it always doesn't turn out right. And there's so many other videos. There was a video of a guy in the military who was pulled over and ended up being pepper sprayed. And, that video went viral. Officers got in trouble from that. I think there was a lawsuit from that. And it just doesn't seem like police officers are really learning from those bad experiences of what not to do. And so for me, being in the position that I am, having these conversations, having these transparent conversations about what we need to do to correct, and if we make a mistake, we need to own up to it, and we need to make sure that doesn't happen again. Because this officer, now, what size of a department is this, or what size of a city is this?
That's a good question. I want to say the city itself, maybe 10 to 20,000 people. I could be wrong about that. The department is not
very large. So big. Probably somewhere under maybe 20 to 30 police officers, maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds.
And it's a suburb. What is the largest city close to this city?
That would be Patterson.
New Jersey. Okay. All right. So Mark, I know we're going to be coming up short on time. We got about 10 minutes. I want to show this video, some of it, of your interview with the internal affairs, because one thing I found was he actually asked you about some of the terminology that you were using, and it was interesting that he picked up on that. So we're going to show this video, and then we'll come back and we'll have a little questions on the other side.
I am at the police department. I'm going in to do my interview with internal affairs, which is part of the complaint process. I don't know if I'm allowed to film in there, but I'll try to take you guys in, and let's see. A little bit nervous. I don't know why. Hi, I'm here for an interview with Detective
Mark?
So just to be clear, I can talk to you about in general. I can't talk to you in reference to the stop itself because I'm still investigating it, right?
Yeah.
You seem like, correct me if I'm wrong, either you kind of know about certain things or maybe you read up on them after the fact in reference to policies and procedures, because you had mentioned drug interdiction, which a lot of people don't use that term unless you're a cop, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was a government major, so I just have
Okay, so the Burger King is what we consider a high drug trafficking area. The reason that's allocated as such is because you do statistics on where most crime is happening in our town. Can't talk about any other town because I don't even work in that, right? General questions which we can ask. I think as people move forward and get to know their rights a little bit better, they'll realize that those are questions that we are allowed to ask. That not necessarily you have to answer. There's also ways of building or looking into what's called, in other states it's called reasonable suspicion, right? In New Jersey, we have to have what's called reasonable articulable suspicion. The only difference in the word is articulable, right? So that means you need to really show signs. And it looks like that's kind of what he was looking for. Again, I cannot assume, I was not there. I just have to make sure that whatever he did on that stop was either proper or improper. That's my job to figure out whether what was done wasn't improper. I can understand maybe the public not feeling that it's something right, but here's the policy and guidelines that we have.
Right. I guess my question is the policy that if there's someone for all of those circumstantial reasons suspected to be participating in trafficking drugs, they're in this neighborhood at this time and it takes this long, is the policy that you need a traffic violation in order to pull them over, or are you able to pull someone over just based on those suspicions, the same ones that he determined about me?
It can be both. It can be both, yes. And there are certain tactical advantages that police officers do have that I can't share, so I can't fully answer your question, to be honest with you.
In this case, when he says he's pulling me over for a blinker, but then indicates that he had been surveilling me beforehand, it would make sense that it makes me kind of skeptical that there was a blinker violation at all.
Oh, of course, you have the right to feel that way. Yeah, of course, yeah.
But so just so I understand it, so this is part of, based on the neighborhood I was in and just how he perceived me to be acting in that neighborhood, or the time I left, the time, that was that reasonably articulable suspicion itself? Just
again, I don't want to answer that right now because I haven't concluded my investigation, but if out of full transparency from what you're showing me here so far and what I've seen on body camera, there seems to be, and the one thing is I do want to look into the whole mix-up of lunch and breakfast. I didn't really, when I reviewed the footage, right, I could see that you guys are going back and forth, but you also did mention here where you even corrected yourself and you were like, oh no, I'm sorry, I meant to say lunch.
That was because he was being so forceful in his assertion that I had said breakfast that I was not going to argue with an officer at that point.
I get you.
But he, just to be clear, I don't know where he got breakfast from, but he totally made that up, and that after the interaction when, I was questioning myself, is that what I said? And then after reviewing the footage and seeing that I saw that I had said lunch from the get-go, that's when it made me a little.
You were like, yeah, this doesn't make no sense.
I mean, this is a law enforcement officer forgetting something that's pretty key in his story about why I seem nervous or I have an inconsistent story, but that part was totally fabricated.
Was the and that's basically what I have to figure out, right? Whether you just use the word fabricated, whether it was an honest mistake that he made, or whether
I don't think we can really know that, can we?
It's tough, yes.
Okay, all right, Mark. I wanted to kind of show a little bit more of that, but I know we're kind of short on time. But so, what was your feeling at that point during the interview?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the interview, he did ask me, for the factual basis, like the questions. But a lot of it was what, we saw there was him kind of explaining why it may not have been an issue. And it just seemed like I was, speaking to a colleague of the guy that is kind of going to bat for him, and kind of trying to provide a sort of context of why, this may have been okay, because this is kind of their regular, he called it, I don't know if it was like strategy or tactics.
Okay. Well, and even him asking you about some of the terms that you're using, wording that you use. You had some college courses in criminal justice. Even that to me was kind of like, why are you even asking this person this question? Because you're asking about policy and procedures. I mean, those things can be found on police agencies' website. So if you really want to be prepared to go into an interview like that, you're going to educate yourself on what you're actually talking about. So I can see that he was kind of dancing around some of the things and not really wanting to answer your questions. And it's, I'm assuming it's still an open investigation related to, to your complaint. They haven't really came to a conclusion on that. Am I correct that you basically have not gotten a final disposition?
Correct. Yeah, it's still ongoing.
Okay. So you walk in, and this has been viewed more than probably a million times. What is your feeling like? Now it's just really out there. Did you have a sense that you're walking into this department that all eyes are on you, and here's the guy who has just made this department go viral, and before that, probably nobody even knew anything about this agency?
Yeah, that was definitely my feeling. Is like, I was trying to think from their perspective. Like they all know about it. They've all seen it. They've had people send it to them. They've talked about it. Whatever they said about it. They definitely are aware that I'm kind of a thorn in their side at this point. That's how I felt about it.
Well, and I have to say this, Mark, and before we go, I think if you treat people right and you don't try to make up some things, because at the end of the day, body camera footage doesn't lie. You're going to be held to a high standards. And even to say, even on this one little small thing about either breakfast or lunch, clearly you said you were there for lunch. And he tried to, I'm just going to say it, I think he tried to trick you up to say, well, you came over here for breakfast and it's, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Why are you getting breakfast? Well, any normal person would know after 10:30 in the morning, Burger King stops serving breakfast. So, you can't even request, when I go to Burger King to get a croissant, they're looking at me like, what's on the menu? It says a Whopper. We're not going to make a croissant for you.
They don't play around.
No, they don't.
Once those menus split.
I don't care how much money you offer. So, Mark, man, I definitely want to appreciate the time that you took to come on and talk to us about this here. And hopefully we can connect again after, you've got the findings of your complaint, to have a little bit more conversation about how you felt about that, where, did you get justice from that, and even find out about, the how the traffic court went. So hopefully we can get together again, and you can give us an update on everything that happens from the complaint and the traffic stop.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you updated. One thing I guess with me now is that if, I will definitely report back on whatever happens. And just want to say thank you for having me on, Chief. I think what you're doing is really important. You said it, transparency. I think we need more conversations like this in this country.
Yeah, we definitely do. And like I say, it starts at the top. It starts with the leader of an organization. And if you don't set that tone, then it's not going to trickle down to your command staff, your sergeants, lieutenants, or even a patrol division, no matter what size agency you are. And so oftentimes we just don't want to admit that we've done something wrong, instead of just admitting that and saying, okay, we need to make sure we do a better job. And I have to say this before we leave, Mark. I look at what I do as a service. We are serving the public. Just like you go to Burger King, you want to make sure you get your Whopper or whatever you're ordering, and you say you like Coke Zero. So if you got a regular Coke, you're going to know that's not a Coke Zero. And you're not going to probably be too happy that you're getting a regular Coke. So we want to make sure that we're providing the best service we can to the public, so we don't have these complaints. So again, Mark, I know you're short on time, but man, I definitely appreciate it. And, make sure you tell your friends and everybody about You and the Law podcast, our Facebook page. I
think some of them are watching right
okay.
now.
All right. Well, sounds good, man. Again, Mark, I definitely appreciate your time, and thank you for coming on. And we definitely look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank
Chief.
you. All right.
Talk
Thank
soon.
you. Everybody, we're going to end up closing out You and the Law podcast. Normally we go to all the way up to the hour at 7, but Mark has to get off, and I'm going to take him off screen here so he has a hot date. So Mark, good luck on your hot date tonight, man. And good luck on your pickleball business. So again, if you miss any parts of this broadcast, it will be uploaded and put on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can catch us, the rebroadcast of the video on our Facebook page, You and the Law Facebook page. And you can also catch the audio here in another week or so on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I'm ask you all this, if you have any suggestions on topics that you would like to see me talk about here on You and the Law podcast, go to our Facebook page, put some comments in there, even on this, when you're watching this video, as we talk about what is a lawful traffic stop and what is an unlawful traffic stop, jot down, some comments about it. And what do you think we need to do in this profession, in policing, to interact with the public more, to where we don't see, these type of traffic stops that where people, they're doing the right thing, they're filing a complaint, and they're making sure that these officers are being held accountable, and the agency is there to serve the public in the way that we are supposed to be serving the public. So again, follow us on YouTube, You and the Law podcast show, and also follow us on Facebook at You and the Law podcast. Make sure you tune in next Thursday right here on Facebook Live or LinkedIn Live or YouTube. And it's definitely going to be another informative topic that we're going to be having on You and the Law podcast. And again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, and we will see you next Thursday right here on You and the Law podcast.
That's a wrap on this episode of You and the Law podcast. We've got more eye-opening conversations and hard-hitting insights coming your way, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and stay ready, because the next episode might just change the way you see law enforcement forever.